Afternoon, everybody. Hi, hope everybody's doing really well out there. It's Rob back for another video, something a little bit different today. I thought I was thinking about this the other day actually, and yeah, I thought I'd sort of leave the vinyl aside for once and just do a little feature on sort of rock books, or some of the sort of the books that I have that I've enjoyed. Not all of them, just a cross section of some of them. I'm not going to talk an awful lot or go into depth about them because probably a lot of them you're familiar with anyway. But yeah, I just thought I'd show them just in case anybody's interested out there. So yeah, so here we go. First one is this book. This is by Sharon Lawrence. This is Jimi Hendrix, The Man, the Magic, the Truth. I think this came out about 2003, 2004, something like that. Yeah, and this is a great little book. Basically, Sharon Lawrence was a journalist, obviously from the time from Los Angeles. She kind of came to befriend Jimmy, kind of came into his sort of inner circle, and yeah, she became really good friends with him, and somebody that he could trust to sort of open up to, and so it's quite intimate, and sort of he's talking about his life, his loves, in terms of musical loves, his kind of inspiration. Sort of opens up and talks quite a lot about his anxieties as well, in terms of the music industry, and sort of quite a fragile. You read this and you realize what a kind of fragile character he was. Contrary to the image that he portrayed on stage. That kind of sort of scintillating kind of exuberance that he would sort of have in his stage performances. And it's a really good book. Really recommend it. So that's Jimi Hendrix, Man, the Magic, the Truth by Sharon Lawrence. Okay, still in the kind of in the 60s vein. This is quite a good one. This is Dream a Little Dream of Me, The Life of Mama Cass Elliot by Eddie Fiegel. So yeah, this is obviously kind of quite a tragic story, of course, about Mama Cass Elliot. Just amazing talent, and just like a sort of a love of kind of theatre and stage, and yeah, just and just how sort of fame corrupts, I guess, and sort of all that the drug culture and everything, and how it just sort of came to destroy her. Really, it's very sad, but nonetheless compelling read. So yeah, this is quite a good one if you're into Floyd. This is Dark Side of the Moon, Making of a Masterpiece by John Harris. It's quite a short book. You could probably read it in 2 or 3 sessions or something. But yeah, this is quite good because it's not just about. I mean, obviously, it focuses mainly on the recording of the album, the people that were involved with it, but it also puts into context how it came into being. So obviously, from the beginnings of their career, and sort of the UFO club in London and so on, and then the sort of obviously the mental kind of breakdown of Syd Barrett, and sort of the transition period where Gilmour kind of came into the fold. And yeah, and all the touring and inspiration and so on that went into the recording of this album. And there's some stats on the back which are just obviously just utterly staggering. Which, I mean, obviously it's one of the best-selling albums of all time. Everybody knows that, but yeah, I mean, 30 million copies sold worldwide. It continues to sell 250,000 copies per annum. In its first run, it took up residence in the US charts for 724 weeks, which is just phenomenal to to keep that level of popularity. It's amazing. And yeah, recent estimates, or at the time of this going to press, 1 in 5 British households, they reckon, owns a copy of Dark Side of the Moon. So yeah, amazing. But yeah, good book to read if you're a Floyd fan. This is probably one of my favourite music books of all. I may have shown this briefly before, but this is Songwriters on Songwriting by Paul Zollo. And he's basically interviewed all these classic kind of American songwriters and artists. So there's 20 interviews altogether. So you've got Dylan, Paul Simon, Randy Newman, R.E.M., Katie Lang, Frank Zappa, Peter Seeger, Burt Bacharach, David Byrne, Yoko Ono, Suzanne Vega, Laura Nero. Just goes on. It's fantastic. Really intimate interviews, and the sort of writers opening up about how they get their inspiration for writing, and the techniques that they use for writing, how they go about the mechanics of writing a song. Really, really fascinating, particularly for me, who kind of tries to write songs, as I've been doing for many years. But yeah, well worth seeking out. This was released on Da Capo Press. Not too sure when it came out. I think it was like late 90s, mid to late 90s, I think. So don't know whether it's still in press, but well worth checking out if you don't have a copy or not seen it. Another really enjoyable one is this one by Barry Miles. This is called Hippie, and this is basically covers the years 1965 to 1971, so the beginnings of the kind of counterculture movement. The major players, authors, the artists themselves, covers all the major festivals and so on from the period. And yeah, it's really, really interesting. Some great illustrations in here as well. So yeah, a real feast for anybody really interested in the kind of counterculture kind of era of kind of psychedelia and so on. Yeah, it's a good one. Nice one here, visual, mainly for the visuals. This is a kind of compilation of 2 books that were originally put together in 1969 and 1971. This is the Beatles Illustrated Lyrics. So it's edited by Alan Aldridge. And this basically goes pretty much chronologically through the Beatles lyrics, and then illustrating each song with kind of contemporary photos and pictures from the time. Obviously, you can't read the text; it's far away, but give you a flavour of some of the drawings and paintings. Yeah, I mean, some of them obviously are very much at the time. Some look a bit kind of dated. Some a little dodgy, but interesting period piece nonetheless. So as you see, it goes through. Sorry, nudity there. So yeah, that's a good one. I think you can pick this up quite cheap. Okay, and finishing off, just one that is absolutely essential for any sort of record collectors. This is, I think this has probably been updated since I acquired this, but this is 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. So obviously Joy Division there on the cover. So this is edited by Robert Dimery, prefaced by Michael Leedon, founding editor of Rolling Stone. And yeah, it does exactly like it says on the label. It's just lists 1001 albums that are sort of classic or highly recommended by music journalists and so on. And they all kind of, a whole host of them, that take a turn of writing, putting write-ups and contributions through the albums themselves. So it's chronological. It goes right away from, I think it starts from In the Wee Small Hours from 1955, Frank Sinatra, goes through the 50s, 60s. Each year there's probably about 20 or 30 albums at least chronicled into the 80s there. And yeah, really good write-ups of the albums, tells you who's playing on it, a little bit about the sales of them, but a really good critique of the records themselves. And yeah, I mean, it's fascinating from the point of view that it's interesting to not only look up albums that you're already familiar with and that you know, but I've also discovered a lot of music and by artists that I hitherto was not familiar with at all. So this has proved pretty useful kind of reference point over the years. I'd like to get an updated copy of this sometime. So yeah, I think this goes up to 2013. So I'm sure there's an excuse me, sure there's an updated versions have been produced since. So anyway, thought that would just be a bit of a change, something a bit different, guys. Hope you're having a great Sunday, and yeah, I'll be back hopefully soon with another video. Take care, guys. All the best. Bye bye.